Okay, so I'm going to make a perspective view starting in this plan view, and that's really an important step to begin with. Usually when you make perspectives in Revit, you do begin in a floor plan view. So I've double clicked on my lowest level floor plan, and then you'll see on the quick access toolbar at the top next to the little 3D house you've got a down arrow where you can choose camera, and then you can simply place the camera where you want to be viewing from. It's just like taking a photo, and then place your target in the direction you want to be looking. Now it's a good idea to take that as far as possible, because it'll crop the view just a little bit beyond that target point. So anything that's too far beyond the target won't be visible. So I'm just going to take that, at least into the middle of the building, and you can see then I've got a perspective. Oh yes, I'll do another one. Yep, that's right. So I'll do a few. So I'm going to go back to my floor plan view. You don't need to be. It's just, you can do it up the top here. You've also got it on the View tab. You have that bigger button. It's a bit easier to choose, and you'll see camera there as well. But I'll just do it again on the quick toolbar at the top. And then again, I'll choose camera. And this time I'll do one from the other side. And I'll come out a bit further. So maybe from, up top left I'll do. So again, you can see when you place your target, it's showing you the field of view. So those two lines either side of the centre line, which make that sort of triangular shape, give you the angle of your field of view. You might have an idea about if you've done a lot of perspective drawing. It relates to the lens in your camera as well. It's automatically saved. So I've got a new perspective view now, and you'll see that if I go down into the project browser, I've got 3D view 1 and 3D view 2.
Oh, then you name it what you want.
Exactly. So that's the default name it gives to camera views, 3D view and then the number you're on.
And what's the view 1 and view 2? That's the spin it round?
Yeah, they're the non-perspective 3D views. So when you click on the house, that gives you, they call them orthographic views in Revit, but I think that terminology is a bit confusing, so I think it's better to think of them as isometric views or axonometric views. Essentially they're non-perspective 3D views. Exactly, yep. So in a non-perspective 3D view, objects in the foreground are no bigger or smaller than objects in the background. But in the perspective view, either 3D view 1 or 3D view 2, things get smaller as they recede into the distance, which is the basic principle of perspective viewing. And so then if you zoom out a bit in the perspective view itself to give yourself more room, you can select the crop region, which is that border on the outside, and stretch it out. So that'll enable you to see more. But notice, if you go too far, the view can start to look a bit distorted. So you can see there the building, especially on the left-hand side here, I'll bring it out further on the right, looks a bit stretched out. And that's the nature of the field of view. So if you've seen photography done with fisheye lenses, exactly. Yeah, same idea. Wide angle is the same sort of thing. Exactly. And so to see that now, I'm going to go back to my floor plan where I made the view, and then to make sure I can see that camera, just scrolling down in the project browser so I can see that view, which is 3D view 1. I'm going to right click on it and then go to show camera. So now I can see my camera, I can see the field of view, and I can tell straight away that that's been stretched out, and I get a better idea then what's happening with my field of view and the view generally. You can also move the camera there if you like. And it's interesting to see the difference between changing the field of view. I'll go back to 3D View 1 now. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so I'll bring the field of view back in by stretching those borders again. So it's a bit smaller. That's pretty close to what it was at the beginning. Okay, so instead of using the field of view, I'm going to go back to the floor plan. And again, find my view, 3D View 1, right click, show camera. And this time I'm going to move the camera back by just dragging it away from the building. And so you can see now I've got this cone of vision, my field of view, now showing with the building inside it. It's not wide like it was before, but it will then show me the whole building. And I'll go back and open the view now. And so I can see the building there, but notice it's not so distorted. Oh, that's to do with the position of your target. So again, back into the floor plan, I'll have the same thing. So you can see there it doesn't go deep enough to show this corner of the building. Now I can't see that because it's behind the building, but if it was a problem, that's why you can just stretch that open circle so that it goes deep enough to see what you need. I just find it in, you might have done undo. So yeah, so it's gone. So you need to make it again.
So how do you bring it up again?
So under 3D view, you can just go to camera. Under the arrow, yeah. And then camera. So you need to be in your floor plan as well. So I'll just do a couple of other things and maybe just point out the main concepts there. So it's interesting there just to think about the difference between using the field of view and changing the camera location. And so when you're working with a camera, you could think about this as the difference between moving back when you're taking a camera shot, and to see more, you can walk back, which is going to let you see more of the building. Just walk back further, and that's one way of showing more. But if you've used a zoom camera where you can change the lens in your camera, that's another way of showing more when you change the lens, and will widen the field of view. But you might have realised when you're taking a photo, that's also going to change the view and stretch it out. So think about the difference between those things, and it might give you a better idea how perspective drawing works as well, because those principles all apply with perspective drawing. And so just to finish this off, I'll change the graphics there. You can see we've got the on the view control bar the different graphics options, and you can use any of those in these perspective views, of course. So I can set realistic, which is a good one, so you get the trees that you might have used showing in a nicer way. So 3D view 2, I can do the same thing, and any of those others. Shaded is pretty good as well, but realistic maybe a bit nicer. Watch out for ray trace, because when you go to ray trace, I'll choose it just to show you, it does a quick render, which isn't that, I know it says it's interactive, but it's not really that interactive. It takes some time. You can change the view, you can see there, it lets me orbit and do all the other things I've been doing before, but then it'll take a minute for the view to update. So I'm going to go back to realistic, which is a bit faster. And then I'll leave it at that. I'll do another thing on rendering in a minute.
Can you show windows open, doors open?
You can, but it's not a simple thing. Yeah, you can. So anyhow, I'll finish that video there. Just make sure you've got an idea about making camera views and realise you can make as many as you need. Or actually maybe I will just quickly make another couple for the interior. So with the camera view inside the building, you'll have an interior view, and then if I go to shaded, it's a bit easier to see what's happening. We can maybe then pick up areas where things don't look so good. So I find the thing to try with, particularly with interior views, is the steering wheel or the navigation wheel. Okay, so you might have seen this on the right. you have the button that looks like a steering wheel, and it's got a little arrow underneath it where you can choose the different options if it doesn't come up with the full navigation wheel. And so when you click on that button, it gives you this navigation wheel which has a lot of the common controls that you need with a camera. So you might have tried it with other views and maybe not found it so useful, because in a plan or a section you often only need to pan and zoom, and you might wonder why it gives you all these options on this button when you can already do them with the wheel. But with a camera this is really useful. So just think about it logically. With orbit, it orbits the camera, rotates the camera around a centre point, which you can see there. So think about it as aiming your camera and at a fixed target and then moving the camera around that point. Look's another good one, because you can then have the camera fixed and change your target, so you're changing the direction you're looking, and this is really a lot more like the way you'd work with a camera in real life when you're pointing it in different directions. And then you have walk, which gives you this little blue dot, and you can then move the cursor forwards or backwards from there, and it's just like a video game control actually, so you can walk around inside your space. And the trick with walk, it's one that people often struggle with at first, but it works really well once you get used to it. The basic trick is to, after clicking on walk, keep an eye on that blue dot and just move your cursor away from that slightly to see how it controls. So if you're not getting all of these controls, make sure you do have the full navigation wheel on the right, not just the short one. So yeah, just see what I'm doing now. So you've got to go to the full navigation wheel.
So do you right click on that?
No, just click on the little arrow at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, how did you get the camera inside the house?
Just by placing the camera there when I pick the points in the plan.
Could you just go down?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, so with the plan view, yeah, so with the camera, I'll do one going the other way, so you can pick a point inside and then pick a target also inside, or just to give the direction. And then making sure you've got full navigation wheel. So clicking on the arrow at the bottom of this, so the little arrow there, you have to do that first. So over here. So click on that little arrow. So if you've got any of those others, you won't get all of these different tools. Has to be the full navigation wheel. You just need to choose it. Oh, you're not in perspective. You've got to open the perspective view first. Yeah. So, okay, so I'll just do that once more. So clicking on the button at the top then will bring up that navigation wheel that you've chosen, and then with walk you can walk around inside. Yeah. You're not doing the full navigation wheel? Yeah, Yeah, but close the one you have open. So yeah, you've got to close that one that you've got open. Yeah, so just move it into the, so you can see it. No, not that view, just move that navigation wheel so you can see it into the, just move your cursor into your middle of your view where you had it before. Yeah, there we are, then close it. Click on the little cross to close it. Yeah, and then do it again, yeah. Okay, so,
Sorry.
yeah, do.
Are you going to show us, I noticed that when we go down to that little box, the graphic display options, and you choose realistic, my colours are different to your colours. Is that because you can change the colours?
Oh yes, of course, yeah. So,
it shows how the window.
yeah, well remember in the walls, when we're looking at the wall properties, you can select the different walls. And so I've been using the different wall types I showed you before, so you've got the different walls in there.
Yeah.
So you can choose those different walls, they do have different materials.
But, so for example, what I'm trying to say we need a certain colour.
Yeah.
Lux, RGB, certain colour.
Yeah.
Can you show us how we were able to put that?
Yeah, we did that before as well, so when you look in the wall properties, so we had a look at the structure, and you go in there, and then you have a look at the material, and then when you click on that, it'll show you material. We'll be doing more of this with the next project, but it was right back at the beginning when we looked at the wall properties, and you've got all the different materials here. Okay, so again, if I go to realistic here, then we'll see those different materials, and I'll just maybe look around in the other direction. So I can see where I'm going. And again, it's just good to get used to navigating in 3D. If it's something you haven't done a lot of before, people who play those 3D games that people tell them they're wasting their time, they actually do get a lot of practice navigating in a 3D space and thinking spatially. And so if you haven't played a lot of those 3D games, then it's a good thing to just practice with a program like this, because it does give you those skills. You know, all those kids playing Minecraft and all those other games, they do get a lot of skills working with this sort of software. Ah, well, it's a good thing. I mean, my nephews are right into it. I thought it was a bit of a stupid thing at first, but they're pretty good now with the 3D programs. I gave them all these programs, and one of them's 9, the other one's 11. And
helps the 3D thinking?
it does.
Really?
It really does. Yep. Yep. It gets you thinking spatially.
Then
I'll finish the video there.